Hello, what's up guys? Today I'll show you an American mystery film. The Farm. The film starts with a Los Angeles couple named Nora and Alec are shown driving, and they discover themselves lost while driving through the isolated nation-state road. They arrive at a way station and pull over to test it out. They try opening it and locate it closed. Nora desires to discover a toilet and is going to check the again. There, she finds the stays of a camp, a discarded wallet, and a mobile phone. She tosses them aside, and he or she relieves herself. However, she does now not see the human skull, which turned into handiest multiple toes far from her. After completing her process, she goes back inside the car. At the same time as driving, Nora talks to Alec approximately the abandoned camp, which became in the back of the manor station. She additionally tells him about the smartphone and the wallet that was left at the back of. But Alec would not seem to be too involved approximately the invention, because he is too concerned about the car running low on fuel. In addition the couple encounters a girl whose automobile is dead. Alec offers to begin her vehicle, and the female accepts the favor. Whilst Alec is going to deliver the automobile over, the female asks Nora if she is married to him. The female also notes that there is no ring on her finger. Nora receives weirded out by means of her declaration and states that it is none of her enterprise. The older woman receives angry through Nora. The antique lady annoyingly says that human beings like her are irresponsible and starts insulting the couple. Alec attempts to restore her vehicle, but lamentably, this isn't his discipline of information. The girl gets annoyed even greater and calls Alec a shitty boyfriend. Now Nora is greater frustrated, so she tells Alec to go away. They both get in the automobile and power away, leaving the lady at the back of. Even as riding, Nora tells Alec that she hates the nation-state because of humans just like the old female. They discover a diner alongside the way, and the two input the location for a meal. Nora orders a burger, and Alec asks for the same. Alec notices that a man is staring at them weirdly, so they each determine to leave as soon. Simply as Nora is going to the door, the man stands up and tells her she isn't safe here. Nora shrugs off his warning, and that they depart the diner. Alec is outwardly concerned approximately the man, but Nora thinks he is just a nearby weirdo. After a while, they forestall at a gas station, and Alec fills the car. After paying, he asks the cashier for an area to in, and he directs them to some condo cabins up the road. They both force similarly and discover a rusty cabin. Initially, Nora turned into creeped out via the shitty location, and that they reluctantly input the house, questioning it to be empty. They each climb up the steps and are shocked through the advent of the crooked confronted landlord. The owner kindly greets them, and he asks them if they're looking for a room. He courses them to a nearby cabin and tells them that he used to lease this vicinity out to scouts and campers. The owner and Alec input right into a communique. Nora finds the man bizarre and cuts short their communique. The proprietor says that he doesn't get many visitors to speak to. However, Nora does not budge. The pissed-off owner leaves the cabin, shutting the door. After he leaves, Nora tells Alec that she feels something is off approximately him. At the same time as they may be talking, the top bunk mattress of the room is visible to be bloodstained. Since it's a horror movie, the director failed to want the couple to observe it. Later that night, after they fall asleep, a man is visible hiding underneath their mattress. He slowly receives out, and we are able to see him sporting a sheep mask. As the masked man stands up, he looms over the couple menacingly. The next morning, Nora wakes up to find herself in a dog cage. She gets scared and attempts to unfasten herself. She requires Alec, however he is nowhere around. A goat-masked man appears and thumps her cage, indicating her to be quiet. After a while, the masked man goes away, and Nora uses this opportunity to try to get away. Nora spots a rock out of doors her cage, and with problem, she manages to squeeze her hand via the cage and grab the rock. She tries to apply it to bash the lock of her cage. However, the goat man returns alongside with another man sporting a cow mask. The person within the cow mask comes and proceeds to pour a few liquid over her head. Some day later, Nora wakes up in a barn, and she reveals herself strapped to a chair with her legs parted. A person in a rabbit mask comes and forcibly inseminates her with a huge syringe-like device. The man leaves the room as she maintains yelling an egg. The two masked men from earlier come lower back and convey her to her cage. Within the subsequent scene, Nora is being dragged onto a cart whilst she sees other masked People are busy doing their chores. There, she even notices one man butchering a male corpse. She is then taken to a barn and locked up in a solid. Some moments later, Alec awakens and reveals himself in a cage as nicely. He's stripped of his garments and gagged inside the mouth. He reveals that he is not on my own and that there are several other men together inside the barn with him. He watches in fear when the masked guys get in and begins bashing of the captive guys. The masked guys secure them with a manipulate pole and hit them with a hammer on their head. Alec resists and he tries to break out via the opening. However, regrettably, he receives hit on the pinnacle and is knocked out. Later, together with the alternative two guys, his unconscious body is loaded on a trolley and taken to a slaughterhouse for processing. It's proven that the compound is a farming commune. It is full of silent people wearing animal masks and the livestock being human beings. They seize guys and slaughtered them for meat, whereas girls are raised for milk. The beef is then used to provide a catering service for weddings and different ceremonies. It's revealed that the landlord is the head of this ugly agency. The landlord is visible taking an order that calls for more meat, and a worker informs him that they do not have sufficient men. So the owner comes to a decision to use one of the ladies, who are locked up for dairy uses. He goes to the dairy barn, and we are able to see numerous cages keeping lactating women. The landlord evaluations their production costs and turns his interest to a mom along with her baby. He orders a worker to take her child and degree its weight. After weighing it on a scale, the employee smashes it at the ground and throws the body away. After the two merciless men go away, the mother is seen crying hysterically for her baby. An unmasked man named Andrew attempts to console her, but he appears dim-witted as he speaks like a young child. He speaks to the bad girl like a puppy, and the female lashes out at him. She calls him sick, and this angers the silly man. He calls her an awful human and tells her it is her personal fault. Sometime later, one of the workers comes to analyze the dairy barn and unearths that Andrew had killed the girl. The worker reviews it to the owner, and he truly gets disillusioned by means of Andrew's actions. He orders the others to find Andrew. Again at the barn, Nora discovers another captive next to her solid, and it's a female who is being milked by way of a device. When she asks what goes on, the lady replies that she doesn't need to realize and provides that there may be no manner out of this shit hollow. The female in addition explains that the people who run the place are those who spied on her and Alec at the relaxation for stall, which they had handed earlier. The lady says that she has been kept at the farm for breeding purpose for 2 years, and he or she was bred to the factor, in which she cannot get pregnant anymore. Right then, listening to every other crying voice, the woman explains it to be Ashley, who is likewise some other 12-month-old captive. Nora attempts to provide guide to Ashley via stating that they may break out. However, Ashley states that breakout is impossible from this vicinity and that the masked men continually discover them. Somewhere else, one masked guy searches and unearths Andrew within the slaughterhouse, gambling with a couple of decapitated heads. Andrews begs that it wasn't his fault, but he is nevertheless dragged back to the owner. Due to that, the landlord scolds Andrew for leaving his publish at the gasoline station and even tells him now not to mess around with his food. Andrew is then positioned underneath a masked supervisor, who instructs him to feed the caged men their meals. However, even as feeding the men, he accidentally guidelines the food pot and spills all the meals. Andrew begins strolling away in fear of punishment, and the masked worker follows him to the greenhouse. There Andrew grabs oregano and begins running again. He runs to the landlord inside the kitchen, and the depraved guy fortuitously accepts the oregano Andrew had brought him. The pursuing worker who was chasing after Andrew arrives and is later ordered via the landlord to cast off the one's useless girls who cannot produce milk. To her surprise, Nora quickly watches the alternative woman being processed and slaughtered like meat. After the butchers depart, Nora collapses in melancholy. However, quickly after, she is roused by using a legitimate at her door. Fantastically, Alec remains alive, and he arrives all bloody and clothed. The two get away the stables and quietly attempt to avoid the masked guys. They make their way across the assets, and Nora helps take the injured Alec to a truck for escape. But the truck doesn't start in that essential second, so the two are pressured to maintain transferring on foot to avoid one of the masked human beings. Later, they arrive to a church, and the two eventually get a threat to relaxation for some time. Proper then, they be aware the faces of Jesus and his followers, which are changed with the faces of farm animals. A cow-masked man enters the church, and we see him in short praying. The couple attempts to sneak out, but lamentably, they're soon found. Nora flees with Alec, however they may be pursued with the aid of the cow guy. He jewelry a bell and indicators the rest of the workers at the farm. Even as walking, Alec is caught in an endurance ice, and Nora tries to unfasten him. However, after seeing the employees drawing near, she is left with no choice but to desert him. The masked people walk up to him and weigh down Alec's head with a rock. In the meantime, in the male barn, Nora seeks shelter in the back of a wall just as Andrew and the landlord get in her. A male captive notices her and silently instructs her to escape for her safety. Nora approaches near his cage Speedy and begs to recognize the way to escape the goddamned farm. Although without standing hesitation, the man tells her approximately a bus that the people used to deliver their praise and the area of the keys. After that, Nora makes her manner and springs to lots where several vehicles are parked. There, she spots a masked employee. Fortuitously, the masked employee has his return turned to her, and she or he uses the possibility to hit on his head with a hammer. 3 masked humans spot Nora and rush after her. Nora quickly receives in one of the automobiles and starts it. She efficaciously drives via the fence. However, quickly after, it runs out of gas. Once you have out of the auto, she is chased through the grounds. Eventually, she reveals her manor lower back to the stables, wherein she unties Ashley. Later, the 2 ladies battle their way ahead and come to the bus, and unluckily discover there are not any keys interior. Nora quietly is going to the house, wherein the male prisoner said the important thing was, and enters via the window. Once going return to the bus, Nora and Ashley board the car. Nora attempts to start the bus, and Ashley just stands nonetheless. Nora turns back, but much to her sadness, she reveals that the again of the bus is now full of people in masks who have been waiting for them. Inside the subsequent scene, the masked people from the farm are seen collected at a table. Sadly, Nora and Ashley are organized like roast pigs with apples in their mouths.